So the reading I'm choosing to do now is Race versus Ethnicity, and I wanted to do this because I think these two ideas are often used in the same when people think they mean the same thing, but they're actually very different. That's what the reading told me. So I think understanding that is quite important in our society right now. So for race, it's described as like a social construct based on physical features like skin color. So it explains that race isn't biology or genetics, it's more about how society sees you and then categorizes people. So we often assume that like skin color comes with like specific traits like intelligence or athletic ability, but that's incorrect. What's actually like creates race or shapes it is how we see ourselves and how others perceive us. So it points out that race is like about how other people are like other people's perceptions, which is why people's racial identity is then tied to how society sees them. So on the other hand, with ethnicity, it's more about culture and so like where you were born, things like that. So like language, religion, your heritage, and then like the customs you have. So ethnicity is more of a thing that's learned and developed, not inherited from, your parents or something, like biologically. So it gives people like a sense of belonging to where they are. So unlike race, people can adopt these, like it can change by joining or becoming a part of a different cultural group. So they use an example in the text of like Hispanic or Latino, which is actually an ethnic identity based on language and culture. But in the United States, people often treat it like a different race, which kind of shows how like this society's views and perceptions affect how these groups are then treated. So this is like he then in the text they link it to something called Thomas theorem, which basically says like if men define situations as real, they're real in their consequences. So even though being Hispanic or Latino is technically an ethnicity, it actually has societal consequences like race does. So another example would be like people label Asian as a racial category because it groups together many different countries and cultures, which kind of like bulldozes over all their different like experiences and the things that make each group unique. So it makes it harder to see the diversity in these Asian communities and then the different challenges that they may be facing. So for me, I think this was quite interesting because I see this in like classrooms. We're a very diverse school, but I think we still see of like Asian, like people don't know the difference and stuff, and they often I think confuse it in everyday life. So I think it's quite important to see how like these simple mistakes can actually like shape how people's experiences and opportunities and how they're treated. So I think it's like quite important to know because then you can be more aware and then respectful when you talk about these things.